This is Pharmacology continued lecture on beta-lactams. I wanted to cover a little bit about how to remember some of these other things. Just going quickly over the memory tricks and the main themes that we're seeing here. First of all, penicillin. All these natural penicillins have the word penicillin in them. So penicillin VK, you're going to remember that it's orally given because Vikings eat a lot. So here's a picture of a Viking helmet with the horns on it. So you remember oral, okay, orally given. Next we have penicillin G. G is given IV. So we have G is given IV, give, okay, given IV, GIV. Next we have penicillin G, benzanthine. So what you're going to remember from that is a picture of this guy bending his arm, okay? It's given intramuscularly. So then his bending, bends, he's bending his arm, bends, okay, intramuscularly, IM. Next we have procaine. So people who are pro basketball players need to be able to have a lot of muscles. So that's also given intramuscularly. So that's, you can remember those ones. And you should remember here that they treat syphilis, which is treponema pallidum. They treat strep pharyngitis, which is streptococcus pyogenes. They treat enterococcus and streptococcal endocarditis. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to draw syphilis. Treponema pallidum looks like, I think, well, I'm not going to write it. Syphilis, so you can think of somebody with syphilis having to take this. A natural person, maybe you think a natural person takes, does a lot of things that would give them syphilis. I don't know. I didn't go there too much. Okay, next we have endocarditis. So to help you remember endocarditis, I'm going to draw a heart on here, and it's streptococcal and enterococcal. So there's a heart, and it's on fire because it's carditis, inflammation of the heart. And for these other things, you're going to remember that it's Clostridium perfringens, yeah, enterococcus, streptococcus pneumoniae, and streptococcus. You can think of the things cess, natural, I think of like a cess pit maybe or something with the natural penicillins because they're made in nature with lots of mold. I don't know. So there you go. There's that. All right, going down here to these penicillin-resistant anti-staphylococcals. First thing we have dicloxacillin and cloxacillin are both given orally, okay? So I drew this picture here, and I drew a clock with something on it that sounds like dicloxacillin, okay? So here's a clock with something that looks like dicloxacillin on it, and it's over here next to its mouth, helping you remember that it's oral. It's next to the ox's mouth. The ox stands for oxacillin. Well, this ox needed to have a special ox IV, okay? So this IV says for ox. So he has an IV going into him. It's not near the mouth, it's over here, it's away from the mouth. It's being stabbed in for the ox, and then the special IV has lots of sodium in it, okay? Because oxes like sodium, I guess. And that's that. The sodium is going to help you to remember that Na, okay? Na associated with IV, given intravenously. IV, Na, okay? And one thing you need to remember too is that naphthalin has hepatic excretion. So what you're going to think here, you think that this thing was stabbed right into the liver. Okay, so this IV was stabbed right into the liver because it has hepatic excretion, the naphthalin, okay, sodium in it. And also methicillin. Why does he need an IV in the first place? Well, he had some meth. And I didn't say in the reading that I could find whether it was given orally or IV or how it was given. So I just put it over here. So methicillin, the ox took some meth, and it got a trophy, which was a clock that looked like with something that sounded like dicloxacillin on it. And it got sick from taking the meth, so you stuck it with an IV that had lots of Na, sodium naphthalin, and it went straight in, and it was labeled for the ox, okay? The IV was for the ox, so oxacillin is also IV, and it's sticking straight into its hepatic system, its liver. Okay, and then going down here to the extended spectrum aminopenicillins, you think aminopenicillins, it's going to be the two the cillins that start with A, because A in amino and A in amoxicillin and A in ampicillin. It's the only A's on the whole list. So, and you're just going to remember that what do you do with proteins or aminos? You eat them, so they're both oral, except for unless you really want to amp things up. If you want to amp things up, you can give ampicillin with an IV. That will amp it up, okay? And it looks like this has, amoxicillin anyways, has renal, okay? If something is renal, then that means that if someone has renal impairment, you need to decrease the dose that you give them, because it means that they can't get rid of it as easily, so it can cause toxicity if it's too high. And this one actually, proteins, think of it this way, well, they have 100% bioavailability, or really close to it anyways. And so you could think, you know, proteins help you get to be 100%, I don't know, however you want to think of that. And tons of stuff on here, okay? Not everything, but lots and lots of stuff. It almost is at the point where it'd be easier to say what it doesn't do, but so I'm not going to cover that too much. Next, over here, lastly, we have the extended spectrum anti-pseudomonals, and these ones actually do everything. And the two that we have here is the ticarcillin and the pipercillin. So I'm going to draw here as a tiger. There's a tiger, and he's sitting down. Okay, there's his head. Lovely tiger, huh? And he has a little pipe coming out of his mouth for pipercillin. Okay, so there's the tiger with his pipe, and he has his tiger stripes on him. Okay, so ticarcillin, pipercillin. These are given IV. So, oh, my lights just turned out. So I'm going to draw a little IV on this tiger as well. There's the IV stand. And if they're given IV, I guess they're also renally excreted. Okay, and 1 to 1.5 hours for the half-life, and does everything except for MRSA.